Hello and welcome to SmartRoof. SmartRoof is a brand new way to generate 2D and 3D models for solar sales and engineering design purposes. You'll be amazed how easy it is to create a perfect 3D model and a permit set quality drawing in just a few mouse clicks. Let's go ahead and get started with our first address. Our first address is 26 Everett Avenue, Staten Island, New York. Activate SmartRoof by clicking on the second icon on the right toolbar. Click on the corners of the building. When you are going to complete the roof model, click on the original node to close the roof. Aurora will automatically infer all of your internal edges and put your setbacks if you've already structured them. If you go into 3D space, Aurora will also automatically lift the roofs for you. Exciting, right? Okay, let's move on to our next training example, which is a simple gable roof. The address we are working with will be 419 10th Avenue, Belmar, New Jersey. As before, to get started, go ahead and click on the roof's four corners. You will notice that the roof defaults to a hipped structure. Hips are an industry term for the diagonal edge that goes from the central ridgeline all the way to one of the corners. In the case of our building, we actually want to modify this to turn it into a gable roof. A gable roof is one in which you have just one central line running across the center ridge of this building. To do so, click on either one of the triangles that appears as part of the default hipped roof. When you click on that, you'll get a little window that will pop up and select the unpitch option. That opens up that roof face. Do the same thing on the other triangle. Once you're done with that, go into 3D as before, and you'll see you have a nice gable roof. In our next example, we'll go into how to model split edges, which you can see from the map view over here is that little split you see in the roof surface. Go ahead and get started as before. Just outline the vertices of this particular roof and click on the corners of the building. You'll notice there's a little jog over here, which is where the split occurs. I like to use the tracking lines to help guide my movement. Alright, next we're going to open up those edges because this is a central ridge line that runs across. And I'm going to do the same thing on the split edge. I click on it and I unpitch it. And you can see that that basically causes the split to appear. Double click outside the roof surface in order for the lines to appear, those setbacks to appear. Then I'll click on 3D, and in 3D space you can see there we have a nice split as expected. Easy. In our next example, we're going to cover how to add a dormer to your building. It is super easy and one of the coolest features of the new SmartRoof. So I will go ahead and start off as before by clicking on the four corners of the building. This happens to be a hipped roof, so I don't need to make any adjustments. Aurora correctly identifies its internal structure. Then I'll click on the dormer tool, place the point where the dormer belongs, and I'll just drag it and adjust the edges to fit in. Double click outside the roof surface and you can see that it merges. There you have it. Super easy to add dormers to your roof. In our next example, we are going to cover a Dutch gable roof, which is also sometimes called an attic overhang dormer. The address is 6126 Chrismark Avenue, San Diego, California. To explain what I mean, once again, I will go ahead and go into Street View. And up here you can see it's this little attic overhang looking, this little triangle that appears. And that is in 2D where my cursor is, and we will go ahead and try and model this. So to get started, I click on Draw Roof once again. I'm going to click on the four corners of this building, as before. And this time, in the same toolbar that contains the dormer, there's something called a fold. So what I'll do is go up to a fold section, select the vertical fold, and just drag my mouse across and click down. Select vertical fold again, drag my mouse across once again, and click down. I'll double click outside my roof surface, and there you go. You can see that in 2D, the setbacks are correct, and in 3D, we have simply been able to design a very nice Dutch gable house, complete with the attic overhang dormer. It's practically effortless. The next type of house I'd like to show you is what I would call a gable roof with an A-frame perpendicular to it. The address is 1443 Cerro Verde, San Jose, California. So you start by just clicking on the Draw Roof, and same theme, click on the four corners of the building. And I am going to go ahead and click on the two triangles and open them up, unpitch them to turn this into a gable roof. And this is where it's a little bit different. I double click outside. Now I'm going to click on Draw Roof again, and I will draw another rectangle. And one of the cool things is Aurora is going to merge these two. So with the other rectangle, I also want to make this a kind of a gable roof. And then I overlap the two rectangles with each other, and you'll see Aurora will fuse together the two buildings. And this is really cool because you can always break up a building into smaller structures, just smaller rectangles and shapes like that, and drag the rectangles on top of each other to generate and build a complete building. There's another way to do this, which is using the dormer tool. So I will go ahead and delete this by clicking on it and just hitting delete and start again. The first part is exactly the same as before. I just click on the four corners of this building, and I will click on the triangles that appear just to to convert it from a hipped roof into a gable roof. So click there, unpitch, click once again, unpitch, and now I'm going to use the dormer tool. So I'm selecting a hipped dormer, drag it onto this roof, and I am going to drag it down and just match it up with the image. Now here's a very important point. This is a dormer, it's not a roof. If you want it to act like a roof, which is what it should do, you need to convert it into a roof so that it can have the fire code setbacks and the other things that we need. So to do that, I am going to right-click on it and select the Convert to Roof option. And there it has fire code setbacks like a dormer, an A-frame would be expected to, and the 3D model is consistent, as is your 2D model. And that is another very easy way to model these type of buildings. So anytime you have a shape where you can't just quite do it in one go, try breaking it up into two smaller rectangles and doing that. So by now we've covered quite a few topics. We've shown you how to outline a roof surface, we've shown you how to convert a hipped roof default into a gable roof, we've shown you how to add dormers to a roof, how to add folds, how to merge together two different roof surfaces by using smaller rectangles, and by converting dormers into roofs. Believe it or not, you're pretty much an expert at Aurora. You don't believe me? Let's try this really complicated address, at least of the surface of things. The address is 955 Dove Run Road, Encinitas, California. To get started, once again, I am just going to click on the corners of this building. A rule of thumb is any place where there's a right angle, although there may be some corners that are not at right angles. I'll just continue to go around my building, clicking on the corners, making sure to capture each one. And importantly, at this point, I am going to cut across and not go around the dormer outline. Once I do that, you can see Aurora perfectly infers the structure, and then I will select a dormer type, click to place it, and drag it into place, as you can see over here. This building has two different stories, so I'll right-click on an edge, And I'm going to change the height. Make sure to select Apply to All Edges. And in this case, I made it 2 stories tall. And I will double click, and there you see the buildings merge together. And now I want to merge the draw the lower story. So I will just go ahead and outline the 4 corners and double click outside, and you see the 2 buildings are merged. If I go into 3D space, you'll see exactly what I mean. Just click on 3D, and there you have your structure drawn beautifully. And it was essentially effortless, and these are CAD quality, permit quality drawings. I hope you love using SmartRoof. We spent a lot of time building it for you. Please send us any feedback at support@aurorasolar.com.